Hello everybody, this is Chris Coyer and I want to, in this screencast, show you how to make a registration form with Wufoo that's a little bit probably more complicated than your average registration form, but nothing too bad. Just has, some little extra features and things that make it kind of interesting. It came from some friends of mine that were trying to build this exact registration form. So I thought we'd go look at their website and look at the form in action so you have an idea of what the final product is going to be like. They're having this little music festival called Krevestivis. This website was built with Verb, which is a VIRB.com, a website builder that's really neat. We actually have a blog post on Wufoo about using Wufoo forms on Verb website. So if you want to use these two things together, this is just a step-by-step walkthrough. You can just come to the blog at Wufoo and search for Verb, and it should come right up. They have this link here called Order Now. You can click on that. You go to the ordering page on this website and you can see that this is a Wufoo form at work here. Now, here's how it works. This festival is $60 a person to come to it. Or, like it says in the description here, it's $72 per person if you want a t-shirt. So we're going to need to factor that into the pricing of this form. It asks you if you have an RV or not, and if you do, that adds a little extra cost to the final total. So that's the gist of it. And you can register multiple people at a time. So it's asking you about the first camper here, but you can ask for multiple campers, multiple ticket registrations. And if I select 2 here, you'll see that all of a sudden that pops into this form is information about the second camper. It also asks each camper if they want a t-shirt. Remember, the pricing is different if they want a t-shirt or not. If you say no, the size question goes away because that question is irrelevant if they don't want a t-shirt. So there's some logic at work here. If you say you want 5 people, it shows you 5 campers and their t-shirt sizes. And then just some more typical simple Wufoo things, just some fields where it's collecting their name, email, address, and comments or questions. So we're going to jump into building this ourselves. I'm logged in to a Wufoo account here. I'm going to click a new form and just call it event registration form, and we'll get into building it with fields right away. Remember, the first question was a drop-down menu of how many people are going to be registering. So we'll add a drop-down just by clicking the drop-down button and just say, how many people are you buying tickets for? Now we can just put 1, 2, 3 in here. For the sake of brevity in this tutorial, we'll just have 2 people, and you'll kind of get the gist for the logic just with 2 people. We don't need to mark this required because there's a choice automatically selected. 1, that's the minimum amount of people that can register for an event anyway, so no need to make this particular thing required because you'll automatically get a value there. And then it goes right into asking about the different camper information. So let's put a name field on there. Instead of just saying name, we'll say camper number 1. So all these questions will be labeled with which camper is this kind of being associated with. So you'll be able to see when you're looking at your entries or email notifications exactly what matches up to what. And then we're going to ask them if they want a t-shirt or not. So one of the ways to do that is just to click, or you can literally drag fields over here. So camper number 1 t-shirt choice. And we'll have sure or nah. That's if they want a t-shirt or not. And then we'll ask them about size. That's also a multiple choice question. Camper number 1 t-shirt size, and let's put the typical sizes in there. You can just add choices very easily by clicking this little plus button. Okay, now you'll notice these are all stacked on top of each other, but on the form that we looked at, they're kind of next to each other. That's a really easy thing to do in Wufoo. We can do that by using CSS keywords. So if you click on the field at the bottom here, there's add CSS layout keywords. We can use Keywords like left half or right half, case sensitive like that. But we actually have 3 here, so we're going to say left third, middle third, and right third. We also want to organize these into rows so they don't take up as much vertical space there. We'll say we want them to be in 3 columns, so it shortens it up and puts them in 3 columns there. Let's just take a look at our work so far. We'll save the form. I'll say take me back to the form manager so that I can click the view button and it'll open that in a new field there. So we have exactly what we want. These look like they're stacked on top of each other in the form builder. That's not a form preview. To really view what your form is really going to look like, hit that view button and come look at it at its Wufoo URL here of the actual form. So we have these fields and they're kind of working. They're not doing any fancy logic stuff yet, but we'll get to that in just a minute. And we have this choices field ready to go here. So let's go back and click edit. So we're messing with our form again. We want this to be 2 for the 2 people that are coming, or you can register 1 person or 2 person in our little example here. Now we're going to duplicate all of these things. We got to do that one by one. So I'll duplicate this, call it camper 2, and we'll drag it underneath. We'll duplicate this. You can also do that by clicking the duplicate button down here. We'll drag it to the bottom here and call it camper number 2 t-shirt choice. And then t-shirt size, we'll duplicate, drag that down here, call it camper 2 t-shirt size. Now notice that the CSS keywords here came over when we duplicated, so that's cool. So if we hit save, you can say continue editing this form. It'll just leave us on here. We'll reload the page and now we'll have these. And again, if as you change these choices, it doesn't do anything yet. So let's get to that part next, because that's kind of one of the more interesting parts here. If you hit save, you have the option of going back to the form manager. We'll do that. And then underneath this form that we just created, right up on top, because we just created it, we'll click rules. And this is where you build kind of logic into your forms. We're specifically working with right now field rules, which are good for hiding and showing fields based on the answers to other fields. So let's hit create a field rule and say that if how many people you are buying tickets for is 1, we want to show that choice camper number 1. Now that's kind of implied in this case because it's already by default shown. So what we're going to do here is say if how many people you're buying tickets for is 2, then show camper number 2. That's the kind of the idea here. And if how many people you're buying for is to show the t-shirt choice as well. And then if that choice, if camper 1 t-shirt choice is yes, then we want to ask about the size. So if camper number 1 has decided that they do want a t-shirt, show the question about the size. Now what's going on here is that it's just by the virtue of having this rule in place, if this value is anything other than sure, that field is going to disappear. You don't have to also add a rule to hide it if the value is opposite. That's just kind of implied with these rules. And another quick tip here is these are built like sentences. So if logic is kind of confusing you, giving you a little brain bender, just sound it out like a sentence. If camper 1 choice is sure, show camper 1 t-shirt size, you can kind of sound it out like a sentence, and sometimes that helps to make more sense. We're going to add a rule that's just the same, just if camper 2 t-shirt choice is sure, then ask them about the t-shirt size for 2. So let's hit save field rules and come back out and look at this. Now the default is 1 here, so it's only now showing us 1 camper. If we pick 2, it's going to show us the second camper. And the logic for size is done too. If we say no, that size goes away. If we say no here, it just affects it. So that's how logic works in this field. Kind of some fancy kind of nested logic here. Pretty neat stuff. And you can extend that logic in the real form. We extended that logic to deal with all 5 campers. So that's how that works. Now, payment is associated with this too. First, let's go back to the form and just kind of finish it out. Add a section break in here. That's just a way to kind of break up areas on the form and say about you or whatever. Please enter information. We'll make it more specific. We will be mailing your tickets to this address. And we'll just say we need their name and address and email. And you can literally just click these things so fast. And you can mark these things as required if you need it. This is just basic kind of Wufoo form work here, nothing fancy here. Remember, their form had a questions, comments thing. You can use a paragraph text field for that. So something like, any last questions or comments? And make that not required, because what if they don't have a question, So we're going to save form, and we're going to go back to the form manager and work on the payments for this thing. This is the important part, is they wanted to be able to collect all this information and ask the right questions and have the right flow, but they also wanted to accept payment for these things. So if we click payment, one of the really standard, most popular ways on Wufoo to collect money is just through PayPal standard. It's, you can go to paypal.com and sign up for an account for free and start collecting money that way. We also have a number of different merchants that we collect with, but we'll just stick with PayPal for here. So we'll just use our kind of default demo account here and say we need to think about how we're going to charge people for this thing. How many people are you buying tickets for? Now, that's an important question. We can select that field and say assign prices to this field. Now, there's only 2 here, and remember, it was $60 a person. So if they pick 1, it's going to assign $60 to that. If they pick 2, it's going to assign $120 to that. So that's that. We'll hit save. You can hit save at any time here, and it'll kind of save our progress. Now, an important thing was their t-shirt choice. If they want a t-shirt, that makes that ticket a little bit more expensive. So let's assign prices to that field. If they said sure, that adds $12. And that's the same thing for the choice here. If the second camper wanted a t-shirt, that adds $12. We'll assign prices to that field. Oops, not the size, just the multiple choice, just if they wanted a shirt or not. The sizing was irrelevant. So let's hit save there and jump back to the form. Remember, there was one more question that we needed to ask about if they were going to bring an RV or not. So that's another multiple choice field to put at the bottom. It says, are you bringing an RV? Let's say, sure am. Nope, just a car. And we can give them a reminder that says this is a $25 fee, just so they're aware of it. There's some kind of information on this form that lets them know that they're going to be charged for this particular choice on this form. So we'll hit save, go back to the form manager, go back under payments, then select that RV that we just created, this new field, assign prices to that field, and if they say sure, that's $25. So we'll save the settings. Now we can go and test this form out. Let's go check it out. It's event registration form. Oh, okay, so now we have this running total thing going here, and this is actually kind of interesting in that it's a feature that Wufoo has that keeps the total of how much you owe at this moment. So look at, if we say that we're not bringing an RV and click that, it's instantly going to update this total to reflect how much this form is currently going to charge somebody. And this form is actually a good candidate for a running total in that there's lots of different things that can affect the total price. In our case, just because of the layout of this form and how it's covering some things that are way on the right here, it's not really built to go with this type of thing. There's some ways around it, but for now, what we're going to do is just go in there and turn off this option, show running total. Hit save and come out here. There's nothing that says you have to use this feature. You can easily turn it off and just be more descriptive in your form somewhere about what they can expect to pay for these different things. We didn't include any information about it here, but you definitely should on a real form. Okay, so let's actually just go through this real quick. Let's say we're going to order 2 people. Only one of them is going to have a t-shirt, and we are going to bring an RV. So we'll say me and my t-shirt size, and Tim is going to come too. He doesn't want a t-shirt though, he said. But we are going to bring an RV, and I'm going to be the person coming here. And when I click the button here, I'm going to be taken to PayPal to pay for this. But let's figure it out. Let's make sure that this works. So there's 2 people, that's $60. So that's 120 plus a t-shirt is 12. So that's 132 plus 25 for the RV is 157, I think, if I get the math in my head correct there. Submit, and it's going to say your order is being processed. Please wait a minute before being taken to PayPal. And now this is going to take us right to that PayPal account. And it's going to actually break it down for the people. The 120 for the tickets, $12 for the t-shirt, $25 for the RV. It has the $157 total, and I could pay for this transaction right now if I wanted to. That's the beauty of Wufoo Forms and how easy it is to use for registrations. We can just kind of go back here and look at the form in all its glory once again. But I just wanted to show you how logic works and payment works and how you can attach and tie all those things together. Okay, bye-bye.